Thank you for coming. I want to say hello to everyone. Also, I don't know if you're aware, but this is actually being streamed live to Vietnam, to the community in Vietnam. So, hello, I don't know if they can see me, but hello to the people in Vietnam. I'm waving at them. They'll see me somewhere. So, to give you a bit of background why we're involved, traditionally, Saatchi LLP, we're a law firm based in Kensington. We specialise in commercial dispute resolution, but also fraud, and we also specialise in cryptocurrency. As Alan introduced me, I'm a solicitor, and my business partner, who's also here, Simon Taylor, he specialises in commercial intelligence. Now, as a bit of background, we first got involved in cryptocurrency a few years ago. Simon came to me one day. He has lots of great ideas, my business partner. I'm just a lawyer, but he's one with the ideas. And he came to me and tried to explain to me what Bitcoin was. And I'm sure anyone here who understands Bitcoin, when the concept was first passed to them, they're like, what is all this about? What is a Bitcoin? How can there be any value to a piece of code? And how can you trust people? And how can you understand it? So I was very dismissive of it initially. I was doing at the time, but I dismissed it. And then, you know, he kept harping on about Bitcoins and cryptocurrency, so I started to read into it. And I think the more I read about it, the more fascinated I was by this new kind of revolutionary currency, which is decentralized. It's not owned or regulated by banks. You can transact anywhere in the world at the push of a button. It happens, or it used to happen almost instantly before Bitcoin got very, very popular. It now takes slightly longer. And, you know, I got interested in it. And around the same time, there are lots of people interested in it before I was. And there's, I'm sure many people in here will have heard of the Mt. Gox exchange in Tokyo. I'm talking to you because I know you can ask me lots of awkward questions at the end of this, right? So, I don't mind though. I'll try not to. I'll probably delegate them to people over there. But in any event, Mt. Gox, for people that don't know, it was a massive exchange. It was probably the most, probably the busiest exchange in the world at the time. And lots of people were holding all of their Bitcoins in this exchange that was based in Tokyo. And they were doing all sorts of things allegedly to manipulate the price. But anyway, what happened was, overnight, Mt. Gox allegedly got hacked, and people with millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of pounds worth of Bitcoins disappeared overnight. And the price plummeted overnight. The whole Bitcoin industry went into a frenzy thinking this is the end of Bitcoin. It's going to kill it. Now, the gentleman who ran Mt. Gox, a French fellow called Marc Carpelles, quite an interesting chap. He actually went to prison for a short time. But it transpired that no one really knows the true story. It transpired, or there are rumours that it wasn't hacked. He was actually manipulating. He was taking the Bitcoins, etc., etc. Cut a very long story short, at that time, we were contacted by an American law firm who were dealing with a class action with regards to Bitcoin. And Mt. Gox, and they said, did we want to potentially put ourselves out there as representing other people who are not in America? So we did, and within a week of doing that, we had over 1,000 inquiries from people all around the world, Vietnam being one of those places where people have lost Bitcoins. So that's where really our journey with Bitcoin started. It was with regards to this massive fraud in Tokyo, which is still not resolved. The company went into bankruptcy, and people are meant to be getting payouts soon from the bank, the trustee over there. But in any event, because of that, we then started getting contacted by the press and the media in the UK to give sound bites with regards to Bitcoins and cryptocurrency. And, you know, we got massively interested in it. We started helping companies in the UK that wanted to either set up exchanges or set up, there's a massive rush to have the first Bitcoin ATM in London, which I don't think Bitcoin ATMs are actually that popular, to be honest with you, but it was a bit of a trend at the time. And then after that, we kind of, you know, we dealt with all sorts of things. We got contacted by a group of individuals around the world who had their own altcoin. They were called Syscoin, and they had been defrauded by quite an interesting gentleman. I'm not going to mention his name because he's in prison now, but yeah, I won't mention his name, wouldn't be fair. But he defrauded them. He ran 2 exchanges in the UK, and he had stolen, I think it was about 250,000 Bitcoins. And again, when Bitcoin first started up, it's like the Wild West. People start up exchanges, people put their coins in, and these exchanges would just close overnight, said they'd been hacked, and people run off with the money. This is what happened to these guys. So we we took it to court. We took it to the High Court. We knew who this fellow was. We knew his name. We knew his address. So we went into a High Court to get an injunction against him dissipating these bitcoins. Now it was, I'll never forget it. It was a very cold, windy Monday morning, and we're in the High Court in London, in front of a very unhappy, grumpy judge, because we were trying to explain to him what bitcoin was, and he was having none of it. He had a big, one thing, he had a big red bow tie on. I've got nothing against bow ties, Dana, but it's the one thing that sticks in my mind. And he said to us, his exact words were that Bitcoin is a figment of someone's imagination. That was his words. He just refused to believe that Bitcoin, I'd love to have a chat with him now, but he refused to believe it was real. So our barrister argued with him for about an hour. We got the injunction, so we were the first law firm in the world to get an injunction with regards to Bitcoin. So moving on, why we're here, why we're involved with CryptoCrest. And CryptoCrest are the guys who manage Aureus. Okay, I'm going to use their name because it's easier to mention them all individually. We were first contacted by K. Royal, who's the lawyer in Malaysia that assists CryptoCrest, and they reached out to us to ask if we would be interested in becoming their custodian for the Bitcoin Capital Reserve. Now, as Adi said, this Bitcoin Capital Reserve is significant. It's 15,000 Bitcoins, which is in the region just under £15 million at the moment. With any client that comes to us, especially international clients, no disrespect to international clients, but we have to undertake a large amount of due diligence because one thing we can't be seen to be doing, and something that Bitcoin and cryptocurrency has been used for, is money laundering. We can't get involved in that, and that's our main concern when a big business will come to us and ask us these questions. So the first thing we did before we even met with you guys, I don't know if you know this, but we had a look into you and what you do, and you know, we had to check you out, and we did that. We of course came across the BitKingdom situation, which, you know, made us worry slightly, but you came over to London, you met with us, and it was a good meeting, and thereafter we said, well, look, we need to undertake some significant due diligence with regards to these guys, because it's a massive undertaking for us to put, you know, not only our reputation on the line, but potentially if we're involved in money laundering, I can get sent to prison. I definitely don't want to end up in prison, especially some of the clients or some of the other people that we've put in prison. I wouldn't be the most popular person. So we instructed a third-party company. They undertook extremely in-depth due diligence. They flew out to Malaysia. They met with these guys. They sat down. They talked with them, and you know, everything stacked up. Adi, when I first met Adi, he's got this vision, and you know, we're standing here today. When he first presented it to me, it was a bit confusing, but it sounded fantastic. The whole principle was he's trying to help the community out. To effectively get back their initial investments, but also to make money for them. But again, as he says, you know, these guys are out in Vietnam and they're buying their chickens and they're buying their ducks with the Aureus coin. And whilst that may sound, you know, kind of funny in a way, it's like this is their livelihood, it's how they eat and it's what they do. And if their currency is that volatile, that a chicken one day may cost much more the next day, but they can use a much more, you know, stable currency, then fair play to them. So we kind of, after our due diligence, we agreed to work alongside these guys. And our role, and this is the important thing, and what I want to explain really again to the guys listening in Vietnam, because this is really to them, we're contracted to CryptoCrest. Okay, we have, you know, several contracts in place with them, whereby this is what we do, this is what we can do. But the important point is we hold the Bitcoin Capital Reserve. Adi can't come to me and say, Richard, I want all the Bitcoins back. We can't give them to him. The Bitcoins are owned by the community, and we're looking after them for the community. There are circumstances in which we can give the Bitcoins back, but that depends on a majority vote of the 60,000 or plus community members. So their Bitcoins are safe. The only input that CryptoCrest have, as you know, the Bitcoin Capital Reserve is used for marginal lending. The only input they have is they tell us at what rates to place the lending at. We deal with all that. It's perfectly secure. I won't tell you how and why it's secure, because I'd probably get kidnapped. And but it's very secure. And our role is effectively, we're a custodian. Okay? We don't get involved in the technicalities of the of the coin itself, and I'm saying this again specifically to you because I know you can ask me questions about it, but what we do, we make sure that the capital reserve is safe, and that's what I really wanted to present to you guys, but also to the community who are listening, that we are here to look after their bitcoins, which is, it's their livelihood. So that's pretty much me. Any questions, I'll answer them to the best of my ability.